Okay, my name is Rod Hoops, and I'm currently the Sheriff Coroner Public Administrator for the County of San Bernardino. I started my career with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in 1978 as a patrol deputy in the west end of the county. I've worked my way up. I've held every rank on the department, from deputy, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, deputy chief, and assistant sheriff. And as many of you probably remember, my predecessor, Gary Penrod, he was on the department for 34 years. He was the sheriff for 14 years. I raised my hand and let it be known that I would like to do his last 2 years of his term and then actually run for sheriff for my own term. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Cal State Fullerton. I have a master's degree in public administration from Cal State Fullerton. We have, one of the biggest things we're facing now is our budget crisis. As you know, the Sheriff's Department and county government is a reflection of all the other governments that we have in the state. We're in a terrible financial situation. Last year, I'm happy to say, and it wasn't just me, but our department was able to return $5 million back to the county's general fund last year. June 30th of last year. It was the first time in the history of the Sheriff's Department that we've been able to do that. Currently, we're looking at about an $11 million budget hit this coming fiscal year that starts July 1st. We have a way to fix that problem. It's not easy, but we've been able to cut overtime by 30%. We've been able to trim our services and supplies by 20%. And then we've got this federal contract at one of our jails where we're housing federal inmates in order to raise an additional $9 million. Both of my candidates are fine individuals. I have taken the high road in this campaign. They're both good individuals, high quality law enforcement folks, and I have nothing but good things to say about them. The only thing one of the things I'm asking the voters of our county to consider is to take a look at the three candidates that you have before you, and when it's time to vote, and see who has the education, the experience, and the management of personnel and the management of budget in order to continue the Sheriff's Department moving forward. Now, the Sheriff's Department provides law enforcement services to 14 of the 24 cities in our county. It's a very large, complex operation. We have a team in place that since I've been the sheriff, we have a wonderful management team in place that's going to, I believe, for several years be able to manage the Sheriff's Department. In closing, you know, again, it boils down to what I believe is experience and who has the experience and the knowledge to run this organization. The Sheriff's Department has been able to stay out of the political corruption that has swept through our county. We have 3,800 employees, and certainly they make mistakes, and we deal with it. But again, I would ask for your vote next Tuesday. And again, my name is Rod Hoops. Thank you very much.
I've worked here for 25 years. The reason why I decided to run for sheriff is because we have some issues which actually are getting better. Rod Hoops is doing a pretty good job, but we had diversity issues where for years we never had an African-American man reach the level of executive staff. I made a complaint on October 7th at the San Bernardino Hilton, and shortly thereafter he did a good job and he promoted somebody there. Unfortunately now, with the command staff, we don't have an African-American man there, and I think we have one Hispanic out of 21 captains and 2 women. So if you study public administration classes like I'm doing at Cal State, I'm going to give you my degree, by the way, in my master's on this 20th of June. So, but a diversity class I took talks specifically about diversity. And diversity brings a different culture, different ideas, and innovative ideas from different parts of the community. So that's something I'd like to change if I'm elected sheriff. I have a bachelor's degree through Southern University of Illinois, excuse me, and it's in vocational education and training. If you look at my website, electsherifffavorbeck.com, I have a strategic plan in place. And part of that is the diversity, but I also want to bring back the canine program. We had the canines here years ago, you may remember. And the canine is a very good tool for law enforcement officers. We have a pursuit, we have a barricaded suspect. It's nice to send a dog in there to apprehend a criminal. A lot of times we'll have a perimeter set up, and unfortunately we can't catch the guy at 2 o'clock in the morning. Parolees are real good at hiding. Our job is to catch him. So not having a canine in the largest county in the United States, I think is unacceptable. We do have dogs that work at the airport in narcotics, but not on patrol and not in the jails. I like to institute guard towers in the jail and our chow halls. We've had a lot of deputies get attacked recently. The caliber of inmates is more dangerous than ever. We have 3 strikes law. We have murderers, things of that nature, and they're not afraid to attack the staff anymore. If we put guard towers in there like in Tatchie State Prison, if they decide to riot, we'll have less than lethal weapons, we'll have chemical agents to stop the riot before it gets out of control. We do have corruption in the Sheriff's Department, and I don't know how in-depth it is because it's an ongoing investigation. but we've been reading the papers. I had a press conference April 8th. And what happened was we had a retired captain and his wife. They formed a conspiracy, obviously, you know, and what they did is they falsified documents, either college transcripts or academy classes, and they got an 8% pay raise for 2 years. He started getting paid April 22nd of 2008. Now the dollar figure was around $16,000. I had a press conference, it's on my website, requesting a grand jury investigation to get to the truth of the matter and to the magnitude. So please view my website, electsherifffavorbeck.com. But we want these people arrested and we want them fired. Theft is theft. Crimes of theft and fraud are crimes of moral turpitude, and it's unacceptable whether you're a law enforcement officer or a citizen in the county of San Bernardino. Thank you very much. Mark Averbeck.
I do not work for the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. I live in Rancho Cucamonga, and some people say, well, if you work at Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, how do you run in San Bernardino? Well, I live here. I live here. I've got 5 children here. I've got an investment in this county. You know what? Why am I running? My friends, family, we've stepped back. We've looked at what's going on in county government. We see a cloud of corruption over county government. And you know, you can either talk about it or you can step out and try to do something about it. And that's what I'm doing. Now, let me tell you about my background. I've got 27 years of law enforcement, and I'm glad the sheriff talked about experience because I've got the experience to run this department. I've got 27 years of law enforcement. Right now, I'm a supervisor on a merger team. We're merging in the Parks Police and Office of Public Safety in Los Angeles. It's 650 officers. It's a $21 million budget to bring them over. My part of the team helps with the contracts, making sure that everything's done properly to bring them over. I've also been a supervisor on an audit team. We would go in, and again, biggest sheriff's department in the world in the United States is LA County Sheriff's Department. One of my jobs, my team's job, is to go in and do audits in different parts of the sheriff's department to see how we're spending, to see how we've got personnel put out in the field. And what we would do is after we were done, we would write this up, put a book together, send it up to the sheriff, and make recommendations on making cuts or adding deputies to areas. I was also the supervisor on a risk analysis team where we would go in. Anytime someone would die in our custody, we were going to get sued. My team would go in and basically do things to help defend the county to show that we were doing the proper things. So that was another thing that I worked on. Another thing, I worked in the supervisor of a legal unit where we would supervise sexual violent predators. Whenever that law came about, LA County got dumped on with a bunch of sexual violent predators. So I do have the background to be able to work with sexual violent predators. I was also the supervising operations deputy at Sheriff's Headquarters working directly with Sheriff Lee Baca. Now what we would do there, we would work with the movie contracts, different contracts to do with everything from anything to do with intellectual property or movie contracts, speeches, public information officer affairs, anything to do with that, we did that. And I was the supervising deputy there. I've got 12 years of patrol. I've worked as a undercover narcotics officer at the Naval Investigative Intelligence Service. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. I think if you look at my background, I'm not going to be doing those jobs, I'm going to be supervising those jobs. I've been there. So whenever you bring me the paperwork and I have my management team set up, you're going to have someone that's actually been in the trenches doing those jobs. And I'm going to be able to supervise and make sure that this department is run properly. Thank you.